It's the Brian Lehrer Show on WNYC.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
This is the Donald Trump campaign to remain famous.
He really does see the world as winners and losers, and he wants to be a winner at whatever cost.
He owns only 3 of the 17 properties that have his name on them.
Trump is so interested in immigration. When did his family come to this country?
There's no escaping the Trump name in New York. It's on skyscrapers and on the airwaves.
How presidential election campaigns influence U.S. foreign policy.
We charge Mexico $100,000 for every person they send.
I like to see Trump doing very good because he tells it like it is.
Anything he touches, becomes great in a way. So I hope America will be great again, thanks to him.
In a city that's voted Democrat for more than a generation, it's a rabble-rousing Republican who's the talk of the town.
The American dream is dead. Bring it back. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But this night,
Donald Trump is leading a crowded field of 17 Republican candidates vying for the right to lead the party at the 2016 presidential election.
You guys nervous?
Should we be taking Donald Trump seriously?
Absolutely. When you're at 25 to 30% in the polls, when you have 16 or 17 candidates, that's a stout number.
No matter how many people he offends, his popularity grows.
More than that.
What is it about this bombastic billionaire that's seen him defy every political pundit?
How stupid are our leaders? How stupid are these politicians? How stupid are they?
Ohio is the ultimate bellwether state, picking every president for the last 50 years. No Republican in history has taken the White House without winning here.
There's nothing more important in the US election cycle than the debates. But this, 15 months out from Election Day, Americans haven't seen anything like these cues and this media focus, and they're all here for one thing and one thing only. Everyone wants to know if any of the other 16 Republican candidates will manage to get a word in edgewise above the soaring rhetoric of Donald Trump.
Jeb Bush, businessman Donald Trump.
24 million Americans tuned in to watch this debate, and that's where many got their first taste of a would-be President Trump.
Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
So bruised was Trump by his exchange with Fox presenter Megyn Kelly, he retweeted an insult calling her a bimbo and attacked her again in an interview with CNN.
A lot of people, but what is it with you and Megyn Kelly?
Well, I just don't respect her as a journalist. But when I came out there, what am I doing? I'm not getting paid for this. She gets out and she starts asking me all sorts of ridiculous questions. And, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
The day after those comments about Megyn Kelly, we've come to Atlanta, where Donald Trump was supposed to be the keynote speaker at a gathering of the Republican Party's ultra-right wing, the Tea Party. But Donald Trump's invitation was revoked by this man, Eric Erickson, recently dubbed the most powerful conservative in America.
I didn't want to be on stage with a man who he takes a question he perceives as hostile from a female reporter and says, well, she must be having her period. If he can't deal with a reporter asking him a tough question. He's not a legitimate candidate who could deal with Vladimir Putin or the Chinese or the Iranians.
He's called you a loser.
You know, he's also called me weak and pathetic. I actually think what's weak and pathetic is taking a tough question from a reporter and saying, oh, she must be on her period.
Were you offended by what he said about Megyn Kelly?
No. Megyn Kelly's a big girl. And I've seen her give it to people back.
He's saying things that other people are thinking, and they won't say it because of the political correctness.
And I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. This country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore.
He's non-filtered, and he doesn't give a damn because he's an independently wealthy man.
When he decries political correctness in this country, is that something that's really gelling with you?
I'm all for that. You know, we've got bigger things. We talk about the wussification of America. Something.
The wussification?
Wussification. It's
That doesn't need explanation.
Okay.
If history is any guide, though, at this point of the election cycle, does it really mean very much where the polls are sitting now?
Back in 2004, it was going to be President Howard Dean. Back in 1980, it was going to be President George Herbert Walker Bush, not Reagan. In 2008, John McCain's campaign was finished, and he became the nominee. Hillary Clinton was 45 points ahead of Barack Obama on the day of the Iowa caucuses. So are polls meaningless? Not for what they measure right now, but for the long term, yeah.
The next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has held his commanding lead in the polls ever since he entered the race in June. And his support is growing, especially among women and veterans, despite the slur against Megyn Kelly and that jibe about former Republican nominee and war hero John McCain.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
The Republican Party's most respected strategist, Frank Luntz, shared a stage with him. He hasn't experienced anything like it before.
I'm a religious person.
Trump is the only candidate I've seen in decades who truly says what he means and means what he says. I don't always understand it. It's not always accurate, but that doesn't matter. The way he speaks, the passion, his willingness to attack by name his opponents actually grabs a segment of the American population that is tired of politics as usual, tired of politicians saying what they think voters want to hear. Trump just says what he thinks and let the chips fall where they may.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
As president, he's promised to deport the estimated 11 million illegal immigrants currently living in the US. And he'd build a wall to keep them out.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
As leader of the free world, Donald Trump would also adopt a much more muscular foreign policy. He'd defeat ISIS with another invasion of Iraq.
I would bomb the hell out of those oil fields. I wouldn't send many troops because you won't need them by the time I got finished. I'd bomb the hell out of the oil fields. I'd then get Exxon. I'd then get these great oil companies to go in. They would rebuild them so fast your head will spin.
You need U.S. troops to protect the oil company?
Yes, you put a ring around them. You put a ring.
I keep having the sense that he's going home at night thinking, what the heck? I was just going to have some fun. These people like me. I say terrible things. They like me more.
Kathleen Parker is a Pulitzer Prize-winning opinion writer for The Washington Post.
There's just no possible way we could ignore Donald Trump as he is now the front-runner.
She's a proud conservative, but worries that Americans are starting to confuse show business with the serious business of government.
I only can compare it to the phenomenon of Sarah Palin in 2008. We don't care if they don't know anything. We just like them. So when somebody asks Donald Trump, well, what about policies? And he says, yeah. You know, I've got some policies on the shelf, but, you know, more important, I've got people. And you name somebody. He says, I've got so-and-so's a friend of mine. I'll just say, look, congratulations. Here's China. Work it out, you know, on trade. And here's Japan. Fix that.
South Carolina is a key battleground. It's the first state in the South where registered Republican voters will get a chance to pick their preferred candidate. South Carolina wields enormous influence on who will ultimately run for president.
And that's just the rail up there? Yeah. Okay. All right, this is coming along.
Local developer Richard Cohn has volunteered to help out on Donald Trump's campaign here. A wealthy man himself, Richard's impressed by Trump's decision to reject donors and self-fund his election bid.
Donald Trump isn't being bought by anybody, so he's speaking it straight up. You know, in a way, he reminds me a lot of what I think really appeals to me of like Ronald Reagan, the great communicator. And I really, I can relate to what he is saying.
Do you think he can win the nomination?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, everybody, the press is trying to put him down. Other candidates have tried to put him down, and nobody really knows how. And you know why? Because he's telling the truth. I'm a Republican because I feel like, you know, all these entitlement programs the Democrats have and everything else, I think you got to earn it. I didn't get it given to me. I didn't grow up with it. I made it on my own. And I don't want any of my children, I don't want anyone in my family thinking they're entitled to anything.
At Trump HQ in the state capital, Columbia, volunteers are rolling in. 1,200 people signed up to work on the campaign here in just 48 hours.
I think it's the American dream. He talks about making America great again, and I think realizing the American dream and how we get to that point, wealth is not a bad thing. Wealth is something that not necessarily should always be admired, but something to work forward to.
I have assets, $9,240 million. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to brag, because you know what? I don't have to brag. I don't have to, believe it or not. I'm doing that to say that that's the kind of thinking our country needs.
Donald Trump has been somebody who's been truly outside central casting. I worked with President Reagan in Washington.
Thank you, everybody.
I helped that administration with a lot of different issues. He is truly the first politician, or first leader, because I don't consider him a politician. He's never run, who reminds me and acts and has the same qualities that Ronald Reagan had. And that, to me, is an important thing for the country at this time.
What are those qualities?
I think it's the ability to connect with the public. I think it's the ability for the public to trust him.
So keen is Donald Trump to make the connection between himself and that original American idol, Ronald Reagan, he's borrowed his old campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again." Ed McMullen, who's known Trump since he was in college and is now chairman of his campaign here in South Carolina, is also eager to impress upon us the similarities between the two.
I consider myself more of a conservative than a Republican, and I think Mr. Trump is a great example of what Republican conservatism is. Reaganism, that's what this party was built on. The minute we forget that and start moving to the middle or to the left of center, we're a losing party and we can't win.
In modern America, no Republican can win the nomination without appealing to the Tea Party faction and their strong Christian values.
I said it the other night. my second favorite book of all time. What's my first favorite book? The Bible. The Bible. And as much as I love The Art of the Deal, it's not even close. We take the Bible all the way, right?
Donald Trump has had something of a religious conversion since his earlier, more moderate activities and beliefs.
You've also donated to several Democratic candidates, Hillary Clinton included, Nancy Pelosi.
Before 2 months ago, I was a businessman. I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me.
Not so long ago, he was all for universal health care.
Right.
He was all for gun control.
Right.
He was pro-choice.
Right.
I mean, frankly, he was a Democrat.
Right. Yeah, no, he has been a sometimes Republican, in all candor. He's more independent. He has taken positions a little bit all over the map. So he's going through these policy questions and ending up so far mostly in conservative areas. But if he does not, conservatives will register very strong disapproval.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump. So, Mr. Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary debate.
I fully understand.
I believe that he is committed to this race. I don't believe he's necessarily committed to the Republican Party. I really think that there is a distinct possibility that he will run as a third-party candidate. And if he does, I have 3 words for you. President Hillary Clinton.
It's a gift to the Democrats because it splits the Republican vote, right?
It's the kind of gift that you can never say thank you for.
Well, Ronald Reagan was a Democrat. There are a lot of good conservative Republicans who started as Democrats. You know, I've heard Mr. Trump say before that he reserves the right to be smarter today than he was yesterday.
You know, Republicans are in constant mourning for Ronald Reagan. I wish they'd just let the poor man rest in peace, but almost everyone always quotes Ronald Reagan as soon as they possibly can, every candidate. And so I think all of a sudden we have someone who speaks like him, who has that positive outlook. And it's just not at all like, not like Ronald Reagan, you know? It's just this brash, bombastic, in your face. He's very New York, you know? He's very New York.
Donald Trump lives here on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. His apartment is spread over the top 3 floors of Trump Tower, this 68-story skyscraper, which is also home to campaign headquarters. Mr. Trump's neighbours include Tiffany's, Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Everything about this part of New York just screams money.
The Trump brand gained currency around the world with the hit TV series The Apprentice.
I'm Donald Trump. From this desk, I built over 100 companies. And now I'm looking for someone new to run one of my many companies. I'm looking for someone who's a tough negotiator. I'm looking for someone who's a dynamic leader. I'm looking for The Apprentice.
A ratings winner. At its height, the program attracted more than 20 million viewers an episode.
I have an incredible academic background.
Randall Pinkett won Series 4.
I've never seen anything quite like it. Randall, you're hired.
I have a deep respect for his acumen as a business person. But I think at the same time, Donald is Donald. I mean, he is a personality. He is a, I mean, his ego is as big as the room that he can fill. And that to me is both a strength and sometimes at times it's also a liability.
Are you critical of Donald Trump because you're a Democrat?
I would hope that anyone on any side of the aisle would take issue with calling Mexicans rapists and criminals. I hope anyone would take issue with rhetoric and language that is divisive.
Randall's Apprentice win sparked fierce debate after Donald Trump asked his new recruit if he'd share the prize with the runner-up.
If you were me, would you hire Rebecca also?
Sure. Mr. Trump, I firmly believe that this is The Apprentice, that there is one and only one apprentice, and if we're going to hire someone tonight, it should be one.
Okay.
It's not The Apprentice, okay. It's The Apprentice.
All right. I'm going to leave it at that then. I think I could have been convinced, but you feel that's the way it should be.
I think that's the way it should be.
I'm going to leave it that way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was the first person of color to win the show. In fact, I was the only person of color to win the show, let's be clear. It was, I think, 7 seasons, 6 whites, and Randall. And I'm the only one across all seasons that after being told you're hired was asked, do you want to share the title with the runner-up, with your adversary? And that was very insulting.
And he said it was a test, and that had you said you would bring her with you, he wouldn't have hired you.
I don't buy it. I don't believe that. I don't believe it was a test. I believe that Donald has lived a life of privilege. And they say that, you know, that privilege is like bad breath. Those who have it are the last to know.
As The Apprentice, Randall Pinkett managed a $150 million redevelopment for Trump Entertainment Resorts in Atlantic City, the coastal gambling mecca just a 3-hour drive from Manhattan. When this town was booming, Donald Trump owned 40% of the city's hotel rooms and many of its casinos. Today, empty and bankrupted casinos dot the landscape, the consequence of a severe economic downturn. Across the street from the last casino branded Trump but no longer owned by him is a soup kitchen, feeding the unemployed and unwell.
Trump Plaza closed, I think it was last year when the rest of them went down. And they need to really do something with these buildings to help people here in the city, because the city is really in trouble as far as the people.
He promised, as part of a series of deals with city and state officials, to do major housing redevelopment near the casinos that was never done. But he ruled this town. And look at the way he left it. And to me, it's a vision into the future of what a Donald Trump America would look like.
Donald Trump sent his over-leveraged casino and hotel properties here into bankruptcy, no fewer than 4 times. But far from feeling any shame about that, it's become another one of his boasts.
I have never gone bankrupt, by the way. I have never. But out of hundreds of deals...
But, sir,
excuse me.
That's your line, but your companies have gone bankrupt.
What am I saying? Out of hundreds of deals that I've done, hundreds, on 4 occasions, I've taken advantage of the laws of this country, like other people.
Well, sir, let's just talk about the latest example, which is Trump Entertainment Resorts, which went bankrupt in 2009. In that case alone, lenders to your company lost over $1 billion and more than 1,100 people were laid off.
Well,
is that the way that you run the country?
I had the good sense, and I've gotten a lot of credit in the financial pages. 7 years ago, I left Atlantic City before it totally cratered, and I made a lot of money in Atlantic City, and I'm very proud of it. I want to tell you that. Very, very proud of it.
So it's just a commentary on how really weak of a businessman he's been. I mean, he's been very successful at marketing his name. I mean, you just look at the financial disclosures. It's remarkable. You know, vodka will buy his name. You know, a vodka company will have Trump vodka or whatever. But he's marketed the name masterfully, and he is a masterful show business salesman. But he's He's not a builder anymore. He's not really a developer anymore. And he's probably not bankable as such.
2,000 people have paid $25 each to see Donald Trump speak here in Michigan tonight. It's a sea of white faces. Outside, a different story.
Dump the Trump! Dump the Trump! Dump the Trump! Dump the Trump! When I say dump, you say Trump! Dump! Mr. Hate, leave our state!
I am a proud American of Mexican descent, and I'm here to show my support and why Donald Trump should not be the next president of the United States of America.
I love this country. We are going to make it so strong and so powerful and so respected all over the world. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring our money back.
A stirring speech to an adoring crowd, covering familiar territory.
Is it possible in your mind that he could win the nomination?
You know, a couple of weeks ago, I would have said, no way, there's just no way. And I still think it seems to me unlikely, because I think even though people are enjoying watching him, and I put myself there too, I think when it comes time to vote, you know, it's sort of like you date the guy that's a lot of fun, but when it comes time to get married, you pick someone who's sort of solid and grounded and reliable and predictable.
You are going to love President Trump. Thank you very much.
You're going to win this race. Are you going to win?
I don't think it'll last. I think the American people will come